We are reading a hand of a 23-year-old lady, and before I start, I would request you to press the bell icon on YouTube and don't miss another update. You can call me or you can email me for a palmistry reading. Now we straight away head to this particular hand image. We are first going to be taking a look at the right hand. Generally, people want to know that why do I take a look at the right hand of a woman. See, generally people who are working, we take the right hand, and ladies who don't work at all and who do not go outside at all, don't interact with other people, this is there I take the left hand. So that's the reason I give much more importance to the right hand. And it's not like both hands are completely different. It's not that that they're totally different. It's not like that. So the first thing that we see out here is the structure of the hand. Structure of the hand is basically the fingers, the bone structure, and the skin covering over it. So if we find that the hand is reasonably strong, then we say that the hold over people, money, and resources are good. If the hand is very feeble kind, so feebleness in thoughts and feebleness in actions and feebleness in all throughout their life. So it appears to me, because it has come to me like over the email, so I would take a feedback from her regarding this particular aspect. This is one of the most important aspect of palm reading. We can come to know about the feebleness of the hand just by shaking the hand. Some people tend to like crush other person's hand. That is not called that the hand is strong. It generally just touching the hand, we can come to know that if the hand is reasonably strong or not. We don't have to crush the other person's hand. So it's a medium kind of a hand that we see. It's not that the weaker kind of hands do not have qualities. The weaker kind of hands are basically more towards the strategy point of view. They are more of strategists. They know their weakness, so they strategize. And the very strong hands, they don't need to strategize. They just go ahead and do it. So this is somewhere in the middle. So taking the thing from both aspect. Now on the hand, if we just take a brief look, we would find that the area that is comparatively more prominent, by prominent we means more padded. Generally this area appears to be in most cases to be the most padded area, but we don't find this area to be very much padded. We find that this area, the first finger area, this is the finger of Jupiter, and this is the area of Venus. So Venus area, everybody mostly, this appears to be the most padded area because it has got a large surface area. But this doesn't appear to be padded. What we find is the Jupiter area to be padded. Jupiter is a big planet. Big planet means growth, expansion in one's life, organization, systems in our life. So understanding of systems, understanding of how organizations work. And this is also the area of religion, of faith. So this is the important area. And this is Jupiter being a big planet, it means growth in our life. Growth becomes an important part of our life, and we are basically targeting all our energies to that particular aspect. This is one aspect that appears to be well padded, and it's good. The second area I would talk is about the area of Mars. This is the area of Mars negative. This is just the name. This is Mars positive, and this is planes of Mars. So there are three basically areas of Mars, and we find that the line of life starts in everybody's case from here at the side of the palm, and this is the headline. So this area that we are talking about, this is the Mars area. Mars is a red planet. Red means anger, aggression, and fire. Okay, so on all our areas, the lesser the lines, the better it is considered to be. More the lines, it means your that particular area is overworking. Overworking basically stresses that particular area. And in the initial period of our life, in the initial, like the person is just 23, 24. So at this particular moment of time, the person might not experience those problems that I'm referring to. These problems might come in the latter period of one's life, because this is the area of your spark. spark. This is the area of spark, and the area of spark, it has got, if it has got too many lines, that means the anger is going to get mistargeted. So this is the most important aspect of out here. So the person needs to remain extremely cool, like drink a little bit of water and try to reduce their anger. That would basically bring them more benefits. The area of land and properties is also this particular area of Mars. So generally people who have a little bit disturbed Mars, the chances are that even if they invest in these things, it might not be as fruitful as it could be. Even if they buy more properties and all these things, so what's going to happen is that it might not be as fruitful as other types of investment. So property as an investment might not be as good as as other investments can be in this particular hand. This is the first aspect, and I'll just explain to you this aspect in a little bit different way, because Mars is an important planet and it is the area of fire, and this is the area of your Venus. Venus is basically the area of all your fuel, all your desires. Everything comes from here, and Mars is the area of fire. So what happens is, compare and let's imagine this lifeline that I've drawn, this to be the engine, or this being your car. So what happens is that how the car starts, there's a spark in the car and the car starts in the spark plug. So if your spark plugs go bad, then even if there is nothing wrong in the car is not going to start. So what is happening is that too much of sparking is taking place, and it is of no use at all. So this is the reason why I would say that anger needs to be controlled. And this is the area of Venus, and Venus is basically the area of your desires. There's a grill-like formation also out here, and there's a grill-like formation. This grill-like formation is not so good. So so it reduces the fighting spirit. Although in many cases I've seen, even with too many lines out here, so what happens is that the person fights a lot and kind of wins also, but over a period of time, over a long elongated period of time, this acts as a negative. So this is one aspect. Now coming back to another aspect is, although there's a grill-like formation out here, but you would notice that there are long lines. This is the lifeline, and there are long lines running parallel to the lifeline. See, these are considered to be extremely good. Compare it, I'll just explain to you in a different way. This line is something like a supporting line of life. This is also called the guardian angel line. This is also known as the Mars line. This is also known as the supporting lifeline. So the name could be different, but the meaning remains the same. So what happens is that the lines that are coming from here are basically trouble lines. And imagine this is the car you are traveling in on your lifeline, and another car or a truck or a cycle or a scooter or a plane or a train, whatever, the stronger the line, the bigger the vehicle that is coming and trying to strike your life. But in the middle you would find that there's a speed breaker. So basically the speed of the impact that is going to happen in your life is going to get reduced by these lines that are running parallel. So it is basically giving that fighting spirit, and it is giving that particular spark that I said that that gets reduced in this particular where we find a grill-like formation. So it's a mixed kind of a thing, signals that we see out here. The other aspect on the lifeline is, this is the lifeline, and there are few upward kind of lines pointing towards the finger. Now these upward kind of lines are always considered to be good signs on the palm. Downward lines is pointing towards the moon are basically negative kind of indications. So this aspect takes place in the latter period of life after the age of 60, and this portion of the upward line takes place in the most important time of one's life. And pointing towards the finger is always good. I would explain to you in a little bit different way. Try to understand that something like rays or energy or light penetrate the fingers and they enter the basically the palm. They enter the palm. Entering the palm means entering one's life. And what happens is, as they move forward, this light or energy, they get trapped in the middle out here. So trapping of good energies means benefits coming to this particular person from these particular energies, and this portion of life becomes an important time of one's life where whatever the person does, the person is basically lucky and luck strikes him, and it is a beneficial period or unlocking of financial resources that happen in this particular case. So these are good signs, and the timings are somewhere from this upward line. This point could be around, if this point is around 18, so this point could be around the age of, let's say, 20, 25, 26, 27. That's the approximate age when these things basically continue to start to come. Upward line towards the Jupiter finger would take a person to a higher position. Upward line towards the Saturn finger would take the person towards more financial resources or luck basically striking and more financial resources coming to this particular person. So upward line towards Jupiter takes you to a higher position. Now the other aspects to this particular palm are regarding the Mercury line that is present. The Mercury line that is present out here, and just under the finger also we find these perpendicular lines. Although you would notice that this area appears not to be too much padded. It's compared to the Jupiter area, you would notice. So if there was a padding out here, then it would have meant that huge amounts of information, because this is the area of Mercury, and Mercury is all knowledge. Mercury is basically or every kind of skill and communication. It could be statistics, it could be engineering, it could be medical, it could be lawyer, it could be any analytical skills, statistical, all kind of skills basically come to this particular person. See, perpendicular lines are good lines. It means that the person is sharpening their skill. And horizontal lines is a little bit negative. What it does is it kind of cuts the main line, so it is a little bit negative. So, but not so much that people should be too much bothered about. It's just that if we find a perpendicular line, that is good enough. And even if it is cut, small amounts of negative aspects can come up. It's something like to give you a reasoning to it, it's something like if there are only perpendicular line, it means that the person communicates in a very, very effective way. But if there's a horizontal line, it is basically blockages. It kind of blocks the person from communicating in the best possible way or calculating in the best possible way. So this is one way. One more aspect can be said about, see, there are too many lines out here. There are too many lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you don't need to have so many lines out here pointing towards the finger. Although each and every line that are going towards out here is of one more skill the person has. It is also said that that if you so the person might overwork his mind. Try to understand, the person is overworking his mind and the person needs to rest his mind. Imagine something like a blackboard. There's a newborn kid, and he is totally blank. So whatever you write on the mind of that totally blank person, it basically the kid basically learns everything very, very fast. But having too many lines out here would mean that already the blackboard is full of information, so there's no place to write another information out here. So my suggestion would be that the person needs to rest their mind as well. Resting of the mind would bring more benefits, because it would declutter the mind, and the mind would be really energized, and it basically is going to play out in a much better way. Now the other aspect regarding in this particular case is the heart line. This is basically the heart line. Now the heart line is a very, very important line. Heart line I consider one of the most important lines. I basically say that this is basically the money line, and there are not one but multiple money lines. So those are basically good sign. But apart from the money line, you should also have a good line of heart. Because if there is not a perfect line of heart, what's going to happen is that stress and anxiety is likely to develop. So this is one aspect. And a simple line means singular focus, but we find out here that the lines are a little bit islanded kind, dual kind of a line. So this is basically kind of confusing, and what it does is that it kind of distracts the person. It puts in anxiety and stress. There's island-like formation out here just under the finger of sun. This is the area for eye and heart related issues. If the nails are very small, extremely small, then the heart related issues basically arrive. Or this island could mean just another emotional elongated periods of emotional stress could be seen with this island like formation. And there's a dual kind of a line also. You would notice there's a dual kind of a line out here. So dual means duality in one's emotions. So consider something. We would take it into like I would use it to describe two things together. One is your work and another is your relationship. So if a person has got a dual kind of a line, that means the person is in two boats of relationship, and this is one boat and this is another boat, and one leg in one boat and another leg in another boat. So chances of destabilizing basically increases. So this is where care needs to be, more care should be there. If you are in a single boat, even a very unstable water, you would be able to still be able to navigate navigate the waters in a much better way. Even if you are in single boat, in double boat, even in still waters, probably destability would arise. Now if we look very closely, you would find that out here also a dual kind. Then there's abruptly, the line is ending, another one is starting, then it's like ending, then another one starting, then another one basically starting. So these things are ladder like. What happens is that there could be abruptness in ending one relationship and jumping into another. This could be one of the aspects. Or it could be you abruptly end one work, one profession, and jump into another profession. So it is seen that people who are focused and dedicated, they are able to achieve much more, even if they don't have if they are not very much knowledgeable, and even if they are. So singular purpose gives much more energies to your the work you are giving, and dedication brings in much more benefit. So the person needs to take care about these aspects. Now as far as coming to the line of sun goes, is that this is basically the line of sun, and there's a V-like formation forming somewhere out here, with one line going towards the Mercury and one line going towards the sun. So the timing out here at the intersection of the head and the sun line that I have already drawn is after the age of 35. Things are likely to be extremely good. Same reasoning goes, that energies come and get trapped between out here. There's trapping of energy. So this time becomes very significant out here. So this is one of the sun lines. Then there's another line, again starting from the age of 35, then another weak kind of a line. And now these lines, there are too many lines. So weaker lines we have to basically ignore because they lack in strength. So when I look at practically, when I talk to people and when I tell them that three line, they tell me that not necessarily they have three different professions, but probably they just thought of doing something else. Now the line of sun becomes very significant, very deep and clear after the age of this portion above the heart line. It becomes much clearer. Another line coming from here joins in. This is also very significant and deep and clear. Is coming from the outer Mars or the Mars positive area. So this area is known as the area of tenacity. Tenacity means in spite of opposition, the person basically stands out. And this is also for coolness and calmness. So although I've talked about the aggression part, the anger and aggression part going too much, but out here, because the sun line is originating from, pointing from this end, so coolness, and the person would also be known for coolness and calmness, and that is going to bring her benefit. So the timing where the line starts is somewhere in the middle of the headline and the heart line. So on the headline, the timing is around the age 35. On the heart line, the sunline time is 53. So somewhere in the middle, the age is 44. So I would say that somewhere from the age of 44 onwards and around the age of 48 onwards, this line becomes very significant and deep and clear. So it's a beautiful sign. And the strong sun line basically signify, see, other people are going to call it as the name and fame line. I do agree to some extent, but at the same time, sun line is the energies that you give to your work. Just like sun, it is basically the energies you are giving to your work. And if there are no clouds in the sky and the sun is shining bright, so what's happening is the plants are growing at a much faster pace. So a strong line would basically mean these particular aspects in their life, and because the sun line is strong, it means that their work is basically going to shine because they are giving energy. So it's, some people also call this line to be a luck line, the sun line to be the luck line. I basically consider it to be the energizing of your work. When you remove the doubts and energize your work, that's when the line becomes very significant, deep and clear. One more aspect is seen on the heart line. You notice that there are few upward kind of lines pointing towards the finger. These are the lines that are extremely significant, because any line pointing upward is good from the heart line or any other line, and any line pointing downward, these branches, these are basically negative kind of lines. The upward line is something like your heart is getting elevated. Heart is going to get elevated when few things happen according to what you have planned. And this upward line is something like some relations, basically they are uplifting you, or some good things are happening that are uplifting you. But the downward line is the opposite from the heart line. It basically signifies that something, the attachments, these lines are something like, this is the physical heart, and this is on the physical heart, there's a branch that is hanging downwards, and it is also hanging with some weight. So because whenever a branch is hanging, it creates a weight, and that weight basically pulls you downward. It basically is a negative sign. It basically signifies the person is getting distracted, the person is losing in focus. That basically brings in negative kind of results. So those are basically negative signs of downward lines, and it is kind of getting distracted and carrying the extra baggage of the past. So I would suggest that she should basically do yoga, meditation right from an early age, so that it becomes a habit. Getting up early should be her habit, because heart line, when it is not perfect, it is kind of creating stress and anxiety. So you have to control your anxiety, because try to understand, if the opportunities could be great in her life, but if she gets stressed and anxiety prone, so when the chance come to apply what she has learned, she would not be able to apply because of this anxiety and stress. So she needs to control every aspect of her physical heart conditions, and she should basically also take suggestions from yoga teachers or the cardiologists, how to basically strengthen this particular aspect. Because she's right now only 23, these aspects might not be seen in a significant way, because when we are young, we are able to manage everything, and we are basically happy and go ahead. We have that young spirit within us, so these things are not applying in our case. So that's the reason why when I tell people, they say that no, we are fine and everything is okay. Now we come to the center of the palm. Now on the center of the palm, the most important aspect plays out. This is called the planes of Mars. See, planes of Mars, many people basically ignore this particular area. Some people call it Ketu, some people call it Rahu. I don't know. I don't use Rahu and Ketu in it. I just use plains of Mars. The name is plains of Mars. And out here, the most important aspect of one's basically life is there, because on the headline, if you notice, this is the headline. The age starts from around the age of 23, 24, and it ends somewhere till the age of around 55. On the money line, it starts somewhere at the age of 32 and it ends somewhere at the age of 53, 54. So these are very, very important times of our life where we have to apply everything in what we have learned in the past and reap the benefits. So what happens is, if there are too many crisscrossing lines, so what happens is it kind of creates little bit of blockages. Although these lines that we see, like in this case the money line, if you see out here, there's a V-like portion, so it's a beautiful, and the V-like formation is forming somewhere at the age of this point of time. The age is approximately out here, this point of life is approximately 30, 33. That's when a V-like formation. So V-like formation on the money line means great amount of financial benefits coming to this particular person at that particular age and continuing for a very, very, very long period, almost till the age of 60. These things are going to apply for this. But too many lines out here, because this is the area of our temper. So you must have heard about tempering of steel. So same as out here, because this is an important period. So we have to kind of heat, like when you're making a sword, you have to basically heat it, then cool it, then again basically tap hit on the iron, and basically you have to basically again do this process again and again, so the steel basically hardens. You don't have to make the steel brittle. You have to harden the steel. So if there are too many lines out here, so the tempering is not happening in the most best way. So I would advise the person to control her temper. We find that on the money line, you would notice that these are square-like formation, not one but multiple square-like formation. So these squares are continuous property, and this is all happening somewhere after it could happen even at an early age, but it could also happen somewhere from the age of, let's say, at least from the age of 33, 34 till probably 55, 56, even ahead. So there are two things I've said property investments are not so good, but even then properties can be seen, these squares on the money line can be seen as property. And last aspect is we find that on the headline you would notice that there's island-like formation. So island-like formation is kind of elongated periods of mental stress. So this could be one aspect. The other aspect is somewhere at the age of 35, this intersection of the money and the headline and the money line, this is age 35. So you would notice that somewhere out here there's an upward line going towards the amount of Mercury. A line going towards Mercury is a beautiful sign. It means some upliftment, some good things happening, and unlocking of, like it's in book it says that writing skills could come, but it's not only writing, it could be anything analytical, or going for higher studies, or gaining from your education. There are many aspects that might play out, and although there are few trouble lines that come and strike at the same time, so there's trouble and there are benefits, both things are corresponding at the same time. And there's a line that is running parallel out here, you would notice out here on the headline. So it's always better to have a single line, and having two lines basically is something like the person has got two strong mental processes going at the same time. So everybody, when I say that a person has got two lines, the person basically becomes happy. But I would say that single line is much better than dual line, because what happens is that it becomes very difficult to understand these people, because dual line is kind of, although it basically gives support to your head, but at the same time when you're associating with other people, the other people might not understand you completely because of the strong mental process in you. And the island that I have told you about out here, although there's problem, but this basically line kind of supports it. And this line, another short headline, basically starting inside the area of Mars. Mars is the area of anger aggression. So some amount of anger aggression could be seen with this particular line. Now we see 2 or 3 lines out here, basically something like 2 or 3 pillars. One line means one source of income, multiple lines mean multiple sources of income. Sometimes it is also said that when I see it practically, the person says no, he just has one income, but at the same time it could just mean some kind of a support the person basically might get. And I'll just take a look at the left hand briefly, and on the left hand as well, the same indications can be seen regarding the heartline. I've already spoken about regarding the headline, these island-like formations. So mentally the person would not be as comfortable as he could be. A little bit disturbed line of the area of Mars that is there. So there's not too much of a difference between the left and the right, and it appears that the finger of Mercury appears to be a little bit shorter. It's only covering till here. I'm just going to take a look at another hand image. It appears, because sometimes when the person sends the image, the angle of the image is not so good, so we can't really make out, but it appears that it's short. So if it is short, it means the desire for higher education basically is too much, and the person would keep on educating herself and keep on. So it's something like the thirst for knowledge is going to be never ending. So this could be one part. The other part could be this is the finger of communication. So the communication tower, there are 2 communication towers. There's a long and there's a long tower and a short tower. Long tower, basically their reach is much more compared to the shorter tower. The shorter tower has got a comparatively less coverage. The other aspect is that shorter finger could mean that the person who's staying really close by, the person would not be able to communicate with near and dear ones, but she would be able to communicate effectively with thousands of people much more effectively. The other aspect is these lines that you see, this could be the line of girdle of Venus. So it kind of makes a person a little bit of hysterical, uncontrolled emotions. So there could be some hyper activity. So this could be the other aspect. And so needs to control. See, if a person is in a movie line or a photography line, there these things apply in a beautiful way, because it is unrealistic fantasies also, those things can be applied. But if it's in a day-to-day normal relationship, there the person becomes hyper, so it becomes difficult to have a stable kind of a relationship. So this is what it is, and I think I would end the video out here. But before I end, I normally repeat few things that I repeat in almost all my videos. People want to know about money, possessions, wealth. Importance of money line is, in terms of money, how much money will you have is only 15%. And so we can know about money from almost all aspects of our palm. It could be headline, lifeline, money line. It could be your sun, your Mercury, Venus or Mars or any other line. And our saint once said, you do not need to go to an astrologer or palmist to know about your future, because you already know your future. Present is a result of past. How will be my future? Future depends upon what you are doing in the present. What are we? We are product of our thoughts. So the thoughts that come to our mind are really important. And company is the prime thing. Company matters the most. And if you have good company, probably even if there are many negative signs on your palm, they might not apply in your case. And if a person has got the best of hand, if they have got bad company, then probably even those things might not apply. My suggestion for this hand would be to try and control her anger, aggression, and try to reduce stress and remain focused. That's what my suggestion, and try to do yoga, meditation, and this should be our daily habit, and not having a lifestyle that is erratic and night driven. So morning periods are going to be really good for her. Thanks, bye, and take care.